First time we're officially allowed to drive on public roads, full throttle. A few weeks ago, we bought this Golf 8 Gran Turismo with a special history. With only 18,000 kilometers on the clock, it rolled over, engine broken, a lot of body damage. This car has quite a history. We saw potential, so we started the restoration. We stripped the car, replaced the engine, and rebuilt the car. And that's why we're going to the RDW today, and not without having fixed these issues first. To register the car at the RDW today, we had the car restored at Frolicar in conditioning in the previous episode. The left door pillar has been straightened out, and the right front window trim has been repaired. Because if you hadn't repaired these 2 points, the car would have been registered with a WOK inspection. But I'll tell you more about this later. Before we go to the RDW, we want to install a window just in case it starts to rain. Since replacing a window is precise work, it's important not to miss anything. The door panels of most cars are attached with 2 or 3 bolts, and the rest are clipped in place. That's why you should check carefully behind the handle, where screw holes usually are. After you unclip the door panel, it's important to remove the window mechanism. If you don't remove the window mechanism, we can't reach the glass shards. You are required to vacuum all the glass shards out of the door. Because if you leave this in the door and then slam the door shut, you'll constantly hear glass shards sliding back and forth inside the door. With the glass shards removed, it was time to install the window. Luckily, there's only one way to do it. It clicked into place, and now we checked if it moved up and down properly. Now that all of this was in order, we reinstalled the door panel and also checked the mirror for a moment. Because the mirror on the right side was completely broken off, and we fixed it for a moment. Temporarily with a zip tie, since an exterior mirror is required. We're converting the car from a light commercial vehicle or grey license plate in Belgium to a regular passenger car. In the Netherlands, it was mandatory to connect the seat belts. For this, we managed to get a seatbelt buckle. Of course, we had to install this seatbelt buckle, and we had to put our seatbelts back in their original place behind the panels. After removing the back seat, we had to remove 2 brake bolts from the chassis, because they also put these in, so you can't easily put your seatbelts back in. After we reinstalled the seatbelts in this spot and put the buckle back, it was time to put the back seat back in, and then vacuum all the glass out of the car. When a window breaks, the whole car is full of glass. And then the next morning it was time to go to the RDW. Before we could leave, we had to put a 1-day license plate on the car. You are required to have a license plate on every vehicle on public roads. And of course the vehicle must be insured, and that can be done with this 1-day license plate. Alright guys, and we're off. This is actually the very first official time that we're allowed to drive on public roads with the Golf 8 Gran Touring Injection. Honestly, I find it a bit exciting. Because this is also the first time that we're inspecting a car that has damage. Previously, we actually dismantled all our cars, so it didn't have any damage anymore. Today, I also requested a different type of inspection than usual, because we're going to register this car as a damaged vehicle. That actually has both an advantage and a disadvantage. I hear a beep because the car says it's very cold out, which is true. Why are we marking it as a damaged vehicle? It's not relevant for us to pay the full BPM for this car. First of all, the car doesn't fetch top dollar anymore. Everyone already knows this car. One advantage is that we've now filmed this process extensively, that everyone has seen how the damage was repaired. We're just going to see how much BPM we'll have to pay once the car is approved by the RDW, because it still needs to be inspected for BPM by an appraiser. It's cool driving this car for the first time. The heater is high and there's a virtual and head-up display. Yeah guys, I've never driven such a new car before. I just don't think it's that important to have a really fancy car as my daily right now. But when this one is finished guys, yeah, then it really will be a super cool daily guys. Let's switch the car to sport mode for a bit, we have to. Here we go guys. First time on the highway. I have to say, this car drives pretty well. Only a few things that we actually should have checked before we went to the RDW were really the alignment, I think. Because my steering wheel is crooked and this car has lane assist. And that means it follows the lane, basically. But my steering wheel is also off, just to the left. It just doesn't do that at all. Plus the sensors it has, the ones in the bumpers, have also been placed in other spots. So I think that's why it's really completely confused. On the other hand, we did quickly read out the error codes with Kali. So we cleared those 280 errors, and now it just doesn't have any errors anymore. So those drivability issues. I understand why people modify L. This is full throttle. He is pretty fast, he is very quiet, that really stands out to me. Now that we're driving on the highway, it was necessary to take the car out. As you can see, my steering wheel is pretty far to the left, and the car is actually following the lane a little bit as well. As if line assist is constantly pulling, right? But what was nice is that we were recognized on the highway by a viewer, so that's always fun. When people honk and give a thumbs up, it shows some appreciation for your work. We'll be there in 5 minutes. But first I'm gonna grab some coffee around the corner at the RDW, because I know they don't have coffee at the RDW. And you always have to wait a bit. We're heading to a gas station for coffee, then checking in at the RDW. Because we not only have to be there earlier, we probably also have to line up at a lane later. We'll hear about that when we go inside. Really curious about what they're going to check. As you know, importing a car requires having your CLC documents, which contain the car's information. That you bought it from abroad. You hand all of that in, and then they check if the chassis number matches the car. I also think they'll partly look at what kind of damage the car has and how bad the damage was. They can often find out what kind of damage the car has had just by using the chassis number in their computer system. So they also know what to look out for. I'll update you guys in a bit about what the findings are from the RDW inspector and whether it passed the inspection. We're going to get some coffee first, let's go. Now that we've arrived at the tank show, of course I got myself a cup of coffee. And there was also highway police. It's always exciting to actually stop somewhere with a damaged car like that, because you're really not supposed to drive around unnecessarily with a car like that. You get a one-day license plate, and with that, the idea is that you drive straight to the location. But since the gas station was on the way, I thought it would be okay, and luckily, no one said anything to me about it. Now, of course, I could go onto the RDW, I go inside to check in. And I have to say, I was helped really quickly. So I was back outside pretty quickly as well. And now I was instructed to drive to lane 2, because that's where my car will be called in to go inside. I handed in my papers. This thing starts beeping from all sides. I handed in my papers, paid. She said if your car only has minor damage like a small dent, they don't do a full inspection. But if you're really missing panels and headlights and things like that, then your car can be called in for a re-inspection. But then you wouldn't be allowed to drive either. That's what I thought she meant. So now I have to go to lane 2, and then my car will be called in to be checked. After I stood there for about half an hour, I was called inside, and then the following happened. Well guys, I'm driving out now and I have bad news, so I'll get back to you. Well guys, there is the rejected Golf 8 Grand Touring injection. And why was it rejected? It was rejected for 2 reasons, actually 3. I'll start with the first, which I can't address myself. That's the hood latch. The hood latch, as you know, has never had any problems. The hood, of course, needs to be opened to check the chassis number. The inspector just goes, hop, and breaks the handle instantly. He calls me over and says, "The hood won't open. Have you had issues with that before?" I say, honestly, no. And you all know that from the episode, the hood has always opened when we pulled the handle. I managed to get the hood open. He checked the chassis number and other items under the hood, so that's no longer a rejection point. If it couldn't have been opened, yeah, then that car would actually have had to come back for re-inspection, because then they wouldn't have been able to check the chassis number. So he did say, next time you come, fix that hood latch. Make sure the hood can open normally. That's not a rejection point now, but I still need to fix it. Other than that, it was the door. As you know, the door has significant damage, and we thought, okay, it's just cosmetic damage. It's sticking out a bit, as you can see, and he says that the door is a rejection point because it's a protruding part. That's not allowed. I don't think hitting a pedestrian with it would cause serious harm. But anyway, the inspector rejected the car because of the door and the back seat. I'll explain why it was rejected. The car failed due to the back seat, because it clicks in the back here, but not in the front. He says snap fasteners should be here. Yeah, to be honest, we didn't pay attention to that with Daniel, but now we know. He really inspected the door frame with a flashlight. Luckily, my wheel arches weren't in there, so he could see there was no damage. So in terms of construction, this car is damage-free. So that's what he saw. That's why the car was approved in that regard. But he also scanned it for faults, which I've actually never experienced before. Because honestly, it's the first time for me that I'm importing a car with damage. And I think that's also why he scanned the car. I checked for ABS or airbag faults. There were none, so it was fine. Still, it's a shame it was rejected. We arrived at the RDW and the man said, "Okay, you're coming. You're bringing in a commercial vehicle for inspection while it's now a regular car. Actually, you should have requested a different inspection. Not only importing a damaged car from abroad, but you also have to report any modifications to the vehicle. Again, extra costs. Besides the 139 euros, there was an additional 68 euros for the vehicle modification. So it's no longer a company car, but a regular Grand Touring injection now. Now we need another RDW inspection for 38 euros. Because he wants to check if we've properly fixed those points. Actually just 2, but still 3 in total. And everyone we've talked to about the door, they said the door is fine and only has cosmetic damage, but the inspector disagreed and said that's not acceptable. I end this episode with some disappointment. Did you enjoy it? Please subscribe and like. Of course, we'll continue with the repair of this car because it's not finished yet, as you can see. There will be a lot of fun content soon. I'll see you soon. Ciao.